Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Burn with Mitch on 12 Ounce Sports Network. This is your host, Mitch Bernstein, live from Wilmington, North Carolina. It was a cool but really not bad day today here in Wilmington. The temperatures are going up as we speak during the week. So, looking forward to that and getting out on the fishing pier on Friday, where it's going to be about 73, 74 degrees. So things are looking up temperature wise down here. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving if you celebrated that. We are now in the holiday season officially as Hanukkah has started. Christmas is 25 days away. Have you begun shopping yet? We have. I don't know if you have. And one more big announcement coming up, or a shout out coming out in just a few minutes. But let me talk about the show first. It's a phenomenal show. I'm kind of a little nervous about talking to some folks here. First of all, as usual, in the fall, we have the District 1 6A head coach champion of the Garnet Valley Jags coming on, Mike Rickey, to talk about that amazing demonstrative win against Coatesville. Who would have thought that was going to be the end of it? I don't even remember the score, 52-15 or something. I don't even know. I mean, they just demolished Coatesville in what many of us thought was going to be a much closer game, but a lot of us, I know I was surprised. I don't know if the fans were. I wish I was there, but it was a great thing to watch, and it was just a great performance by all of the kids and the coaches on that team. Give me 1 second. I got to close the door here. We're going to have to close this door. All right. So great win by Coach Rickey and the Jags and the coaching staff. Mike will be coming on at 6:40. At 6:55, Philadelphia fans, Phillies fans, Eagles fans. You know this voice coming on. He is the PA announcer for the Philadelphia Phillies. Has been announcing for the Eagles and the Phillies for about 50 years. Tweeting out that he's coming on. People are saying he needs to be on the Wall of Fame. Absolutely agree. We'll talk to Dan about that. Dan will be on audio only, so Dan will be talking with me by phone. But yeah, I think that's something that, without a doubt, people know that he belongs on that wall. So Dan Baker will be coming on at 7:05. And finally, bringing up the end of the show, I talk about authors a lot. But this guy is really pretty much a literary genius. He has written over 45 books, or 45 is what I counted. Many of them on baseball, most of them on baseball. And we're going to talk. He's got a new book out actually today. How honored am I to be able to talk to Peter Golenbach about his new book that officially came out today, Bobby Valentine, My Adventurous Life. So we're going to talk to Peter about that book. I'm going to show him this book that I have that he wrote back in 1986 about the 1985 New York Mets with Davey Johnson. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk to Dan and Peter a little bit about the upcoming Hall of Fame vote that's coming up on Saturday for the early baseball era players and the Golden Days era. A big push for Dick Allen by Mark Carfagno, commonly known as Frog. He's got a big group of about 80, 90 of us that email back and forth over the last two years at least. At least that's when I was in the group. And let's just hope he gets that one vote that he needed that he didn't get last time, and Dick Allen will get his due and become a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So, Mike Rickey coming up in 5 minutes. Dan Baker at 7:05, at 6:55. I'm sorry, and at 7:30, Peeler Golenbach. Shout out to my wife for putting up with me for 41 years today. Yes, it's our anniversary. And people are saying, well, what are you doing here doing your show? And you should be out with your wife. Well, that's true, but she's out without me. She's with her brother and her sister-in-law. They're at Taco Tuesday right now. We have a tradition where we go get ice cream for our anniversary, and so she'll be picking some of that for me when she gets back from Taco Tuesday. But honey, I love you. 41 years you put up with me, ups and downs, rights and lefts, all the things that you've done for me and my kids, keeping me on a straight and narrow. Appreciate it. Thank you for laughing at my jokes. Let's make it another 41. Let's hope. Real quickly, the Eagles blew it. That's all I can say. The Eagles blew it. They crapped the table. Man, it was ridiculous. And then you look at Seattle and Washington. Washington won last night. And Dallas lost. So the Eagles missed a chance to pick up a game on Dallas. That team is just, now again, young team, first-year coach. We expected not much, but at least, I had them running the table and getting into the playoffs. That's not going to happen. Now it looks like they have to continue to try to run the table and beat Dallas the last game of the season at the Link to get into the playoffs. But the way football is these days, as you know and you've watched in the NFL, any team can be anybody on any given Sunday. So week to week, that's the way it is with these Eagles. And how about switching to baseball for a second? All these free agent signings, and not one of them going to the Phillies. What are they doing? I thought Middleton gave Dombrowski the open checkbook. That's what we heard a few weeks ago. And yet, all these free agents are signing with teams. Free agents, including Sterling Marte, who would have been a great ad for the Phillies. Even Corey Kluber today, the bullpen. The good thing is, a lot, except for Scherzer, most of these players are going to the American League. Javi Baez, Tigers. Who else big? Corey Seager, Rangers, American League. Robbie Ray, left-handed pitcher to the Mariners. Now, the Braves signed reliever Kirby Yates. I have to get some more information on Kirby Yates to see how good a deal that is for them. Let's see. Marlins trade with Pirates for Jacob Stallings. No big deal. But anyway, Phillies are sitting on their butts, waiting for something to happen. And they got what? Another day and a half to the lockout? And then things will slow down. But not slowing down was the team that I watched from my living room on Friday, Garden Valley Jaguars. Unbelievable performance. I will say kind of unexpected, but gladly I wasn't crazy. I didn't go nuts because it was just a phenomenal game. And Coach Mike Rickey, congratulations. That was just an unbelievable performance on Friday.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. It really was. It was a complete game in every sense of the word.
I mean, we talked about this kid Susie. You knew about him obviously, and the way he played, running the ball, their weapons on the offense. Hardly saw it. You shut him down. How did that happen?
Well, their first drive, they came down the field and it took us a while to adjust to their speed. Their speed was crazy. They were really fast. Their first jet sweep that they ran, our safety, C.J. Wood and Ryan Saunders, are spectacular, and he ran right past both of them, and we had to figure out real fast our angles. Even on Shane Reynolds' first really long run, their corner from the opposite side of the field caught him. Nobody's caught Shane Reynolds all year long. So once we figured out the speed, I was really thrilled with how we were defending. In the second half, I think we held them to 14 total yards in the second half.
Yeah, it was it was fun. Yeah, second half was fun. They didn't do a darn thing, and that's what. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because what you're right. I mean, you saw it. My wife and I were talking and watching. Goes, man, those guys are fast. How are they going to stop them? So, Mike, how did you adjust so quickly? What did you, when you say angles? How do you get that across to the kids in such a quick fashion?
Well, they knew they came off, and if you, I wish I could have a film and show you the first play of the game. Whoever the safety was, if it was either Ryan or CJ, they came up and they went and attacked like it was a normal high school kid. And you can't run up the field against somebody who's that fast. You have to run flat down the line.
Mm.
And once we adjusted our angles to running flat down the line, we were okay. And they did that.
Yeah, again, the play calling was terrific. Max solid as usual. The weapons, Shane, oh my God, it's just nuts. I mean, just absolutely crazy. Obviously, the blocking. I mean, you were looking at those guys and thinking, man, these guys are big on the defense. Like you said, all your career, fundamentals. They had to do it right, and they did it.
Yeah, we really executed really well. And, one of the questions I've been getting asked a lot is, in the first quarter, it was 7-7. We had a 4th and 5 from our own 25-yard line. Why did you go for it? And the answer, is it's not just some crazy far-fetched thing. The wind was blowing so hard in our face. We really thought that if we punted it, it might go backwards. And the best we were going to do was gain maybe 10 yards. I mean, it was howling, the wind. So we figured we had a better chance to keep our offense on there and run a play than to risk a punt. And we felt like we had a good play call, and obviously we did. We got it. But that was, I think that was one of the key moments in the game that we were able to execute down there on 4th down, and they had a situation to do that, and they didn't execute and gave us a short field.
Right. Yeah, Mike, I was sitting back there going, I say to myself, Mike, what are you doing? Mike, what are you doing? You're at the 25. Not knowing, but the guys in the booth correctly told us, you probably weren't going to go much further than 10 yards, like you said, with a kick. So trust your offense that they've been doing it all year. And Mike, I think you did that twice, didn't you? You went for 4th.
Yeah,
and
yep.
Yeah.
We had 2 4th down conversions. I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. So I want to talk tonight about conversations and emotions and feelings. All right.
Okay.
What was said and anything different before the game in the locker room?
No, leading up to the game, we had received a number of different texts from a number of alumni who, and the common themes in those texts were oneness. Really, that was the common theme, was oneness, stay together. They wanted them to know how proud the alumni was of them and how much they were rooting for them and how much it meant to them to watch these guys play. So that really was, we didn't have to do anything to get these guys up for this game. They knew it was a big game. They knew it was a team that had beaten us 3 times. One of the things that people don't know is we, every year, take our seniors down to Dewey Beach, and we do a senior leadership trip, I guess we'll call it. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do, a couple things. One, we put them in cars, and I put them in cars usually with people that they don't hang out with. And they travel down to Dewey Beach, and on the way down, they have to interview one another and the coach who's driving them down. And then when we get down on the beach, we have each kid present somebody from his car, who they are and what they learned about them, and the coach too. Then we do an exercise on the beach where we talk about leadership and what kind of leaders they want to be and how they're going to do that. It's a really nice night. Well, this year we couldn't go to Dewey because of Dewey's inability. We have a guy, Bob Sipple, who used to own a hotel right on the beach in Dewey, which he has since sold, but they're still always great about letting us go down there. They give us the rooms for the night. It's really nice. But this year, because of COVID, they weren't able to staff the hotel during the week for as many nights. So we couldn't do it. So instead of just forgetting the night, it was such an important night. What we decided to do instead was we wanted to find a destination that was about 45 minutes away so that we could have the car ride. Part of the experience is the car ride. So we figured if we went 45 minutes one way and 45 minutes back, that's an hour and a half. That's about how long it takes us to get to Dewey Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So our destination this year was Coatesville, and we went to Coatesville High School. And obviously symbolic there, that was the roadblock that we had faced and that we couldn't get past. And out of respect to Coatesville and what they had done, that's where we went. And we just went there and we stopped in the parking lot outside the high school, and we had a little meeting there. And then we came back to school and we did our meeting instead of on the beach on the 50-yard line on a football field this year. And it was really cool. And it wasn't mentioned before the Coatesville game, but I know it was something that it was on the mind of those guys. Like, we need to get this monkey off our back, and this is our chance to do that.
I was thinking of the same term, monkey on your back, and I don't like to say it because it sounds like, could it upset people, or is it a real thing, or you want to, hey, we need to forget the past. But I'm glad you said it because obviously it was something as important to the team as it was to you too. So that's great stuff. I mean, listen, I've been in those situations too. You want to meet people, you don't know them. Obviously, yes, introduce. It starts to form that bond to get to know. Again, it's all about relationships. Wherever I've worked, wherever I've interviewed, why do you want to be here? What can you do? It's all about relationships and developing those, because then you start caring. There's a caring aspect. There is that's where the oneness begins, that we're a team, we're a group together. So it's a great exercise. Halftime. What were your thoughts? How did you feel at halftime? What was said?
At halftime, we felt like we were in control of the game. We felt like it was really going to be important for us to come out. They get the ball well. They had the choice. We weren't sure if they were going to take the wind or take the ball. You have a choice. And if they took the wind, it would have meant one less possession for them, and they needed possessions. So it kind of worked out in our favor that they took the ball, so that we could take the wind. We wanted to take the wind, so we talked about what we were going to do with that, and where we're going to take the wind, and that's what we hoped we would be able to do, so that we could hopefully use that to our advantage and get up even a little bit more. And then for them to have to come back in the fourth quarter into the teeth of the wind, that's a tough task.
That was, I think it was a mistake on their part. When I saw that, and the guys noticed that on TV, I was thinking, okay, go for it. Do what you have to do. Even on the ground, you can still feel that push behind you, and you want to score first. You got the wind, go for it, and you did. How about that field goal by Mr. Liberatore?
Yeah, well, on that particular time, it was. I thought we had gotten a first down. We ran the draw with Max right before that, and there was 14 seconds left. And then I called timeout. Had I known we were short, I would have not called timeout and let the clock run down so we could kick the field goal. So the wind was at his back, and he could make that without the wind. So it was. That would have been good from 55 yards easily. He really boomed that thing. But he's such a good kicker, and he's been good for us all year. He had all those touchbacks in the game on Friday night, and that put us up 25 points. So that made it a 4-score game. So those were big points, right there.
Huge, absolutely. You're right. All right. So I've always forgotten to ask you this, but I'm going to ask it now. You win the game. Shake your hands. What is talked about, Mike, on the field after the game? I've always wanted to know what that was about.
With our coaches talking to the players.
Yes, what that entire team meeting. Yeah.
So what happens is, generally most coaches will. I'll give each coach a chance to say something if he wants to say something, and generally the coach will say congrats, or somebody might point out some of the scout team players that were big for us during the course of the week, or somebody who stepped up. I know we talked about Jack Westberg. We don't usually talk about individual players so much as what they accomplished, and just to believe in ourselves, just to reinforce our message. Most coaches are real brief. Usually, our coordinators will talk a little bit longer, but it's not a whole lot. We got a lot of guys down there. It's just, hey, we're proud of you. Great job. We find out if anybody's hurt, and talk about the next morning what we're going to do. If it's a regular season game, we talk about the JV game and all the particulars about that. But after the game on Friday, there a lot of coaches just saying how proud they were of those guys, how they talked about what we did in practice and how we play like we practice, and we continue to practice the way that we did last week. We haven't had a bad practice this entire year, not one. I can't think of one practice that was not a high energy, focused, good practice. And so just that kind of stuff. Just reiterate that.
And then, Mike, as the clock was winding down, um, and it was brought up, and you read things and you get excited about watching the game and that the game's happening, and then it hit me, and after reading about it, that this was because Jack McCaffrey, man, what an article! I mean, great articles about you and the family. It was just
Mhm.
awesome. Um, and the um, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Oh, last game at the stadium at Motor Frank.
Mhm.
Any thoughts going into that for you? Any sentimentality after the game, that kind of thing?
I don't want. It really hasn't yet. It just hasn't hit me yet, because I think because we're still in season mode.
Yeah.
As soon as that game is over, as the clock was winding down, somebody's telling me that St. Joe Prep won, and right away you're starting to think about St. Joe Prep, and you want to enjoy the night and enjoy the victory, which we did. That was a big thing, and Coachville's such a great team and great program, and for us to win, and not only win, but to win the way that we did win, was very satisfying. One of the things that we talked about Saturday morning was, you can't let that it's hard to stay emotionally up week after week after week. That's one of the problems, is teams have such a big win and they're so excited about it. It's hard to get up for the next week. And I wanted to make sure that we kept in perspective that, yes, that was a great win and we want to celebrate that. I said, but everybody's going to tell you how great you are, and you just tell them thank you. But we know we have these things we need to fix and these things we need to work on. And our mission was not just to win the District 1 title. So we want to continue on and make sure that we're mentally prepared to play in that next round.
So next round Saturday at Ridley.
Hmm.
Um, I was so tempted to come up. My wife said, "You can't." I said, "Why not?" Because you have a commitment on Saturday. I said, "Oh, crap. If I hadn't made this commitment, Mike, I was going to come hell or high water. I was getting up there." But here's what I need you to do. We're going to talk about St. Joe's first, and then after you beat St. Joe's, I'm going to Hershey. So just want to let you know. So what are we looking at? St. Joe's. The other thing I have a concern with, Mike, and it's not a concern. Um, St. Joe's private school, right?
Right.
Is that going to ever change to public and private separate?
Um, I don't know if it's ever going to change. I don't know why it ever happened to begin with. It was, I mean, I told our kids that we're not going to go into this game with a victim mentality. That's how the rules are. That's who we're going to play. But I'll say to you, this is, it's silly to try and compare a school that has no boundaries with a school that does have boundaries. I mean, it doesn't make any sense on any level whatsoever. Here you are. Garnet Valley is the smallest 6A school in the state of
Mhm.
Pennsylvania. You will be 5A. So when you're a school with boundaries, you have to find your answers within the group of people that you have.
Right.
And, so many schools, so many public schools, if you don't have a quarterback or you don't have an outside linebacker, you don't have a cornerback, you have to find somebody, some kid, and try and develop them into that position. And we've made a living on that. One of the things that we've done really well is develop kids through our great weight program with John Paul Batiste and the dedication of the kids. We have kids who get on the field who probably in most other schools would never ever play. But because they get stronger and because they get more confident and because we have such fantastic assistant coaches, they're put in position where they can be successful. In a school with no boundaries, if you need a D-back or you need a quarterback, you just go get one. And to have the ability to do that, it's silly that they play that we're in the same classification, I guess.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because it makes me feel better. I worked at Westtown School and private school, right? And the coaches recruiting basketball left and right, left and right, left and right. You got Mo Bamba, you got Cam Reddish in the NBA.
Right.
You've got guys going to D1 schools next year. One's at FSU now, UConn. Another one's going to Duke next year. I mean, it's a basketball factory, and they got to play other teams that, even though they're in private school league, but they have the private school playoffs, and that's where the difference is there. So,
for instance, at Garnet Valley, I've been here 38 years. In 38 years, we've had 3 Division I kids. We had Dave Nickel, who was a kicker at Temple back in the late 80s. We had Joe Senatiempo, who was a lineman at Temple. And we have Shane Reynolds this year, who's going to go as a running back at Navy. 38 years, 3. And, the schools, Wood, St. Joe Prep, they'll have multiple every year on their team. So it just, they're high school kids and it just, whatever. Like I said, I don't want to get into that. We are very proud of who we are.
Yeah.
We're a very good football team. We're going to go and we're going to be the best Garnet Valley team that we can be, and we'll see what happens. Like I told a reporter today, we're the only other team playing that night. So
that's exactly right. And what are we looking at? I've got like 4 minutes. What are we looking at at St. Joe's? Are they huge?
They're big, they're fast, they're athletic, they're everything that you would think. And this is a nationally ranked team at the beginning of the year. They're one of the top teams in the country, and they're a top team in the country because of the talent that they have. They're very well coached. They excel on special teams. They're very fast on defense. They're explosive on offense. They're everything that you would think a nationally ranked team would be, and they're deserving of that national ranking. So they lost to LaSalle this year, who they beat LaSalle the second time they played them, but they're human, and we're going to go and see what we can do. I think we're pretty good too.
Mike, hold on 1 second, would you? I got Dan Baker on. Hello, Dan. Dan, can I call you back in like 3 minutes? Sure. All right, let me give you a call back in 3 minutes. Thank you. That was Dan Baker. He's coming on after you from the Phillies, the announcer and the Eagles. He's a little early, but that's okay. So regular defense, you're not going to change up anything.
No, we're gonna do our thing. We're gonna play our game, and I love the guys that we have. I love the energy. I love the attitude. I love the focus. I love the way we've been executing our offense and our defense, and we will be prepared, and we will give everything that we have.
And gee, wouldn't it be cool? We're sitting here next week saying, "Look at us, we're playing again, playing for this title."
I would love that being.
Oh my gosh, Mike! Again, who knows what they're thinking? Oh, it's Garnet Valley. We're the best. And they take it lightly. You don't know. As we always say, you're going to play your game, and let the chips fall where they may. They're kids. They might make mistakes too. And
Oh, yeah.
and you know what? That's what I think, right? You're going to tell the kids, hey, they're kids. Like when Rocky went up against Clubber Lang, right? Just believe that you can do it. Have the confidence. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, I can tell you one thing about this group. They believe, and not in an arrogant way, in a sincere, genuine belief. They believe in one another. They believe in their coaches. Um, and that is always the first step toward doing anything. So I believe in them, and we believe in each other, and we're thrilled to have the opportunity to see what we can do.
All right. I hope that next week we are here. Either way, you'll be back.
Yep.
Either way, you'll be back. Um, but I'm looking to see if I can book a flight to Philly, hopefully after on Saturday night. And I don't care what my wife says, I'm going.
All right, Mitch. Thank you. I appreciate
Mike,
it.
I'm not going to say good luck because it's not luck, right? I never say that. It's playing your game. So have a great time. Continue what you're doing. We love what you do. We love everybody loves you and what you believe in. And see you on the TV on Saturday evening.
Thanks, Mitch. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
take care, Mike.
Yep. Have a good week.
You too. All right, now we are going to call back Dan Baker because Dan is with us. He's coming on right now.
Hello.
Hello, Dan. This is Mitch. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. How are you?
Good, Mitch, and you?
Doing well. How are you feeling, Dan? I know we all know you had some things going on health wise. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm doing much better. I've had some health challenges in the last couple of years. As a matter of fact, it caused me to miss the abbreviated 2020 season,
Right.
regular season. However, I bounced back and announced every single Phillies home game in 2021, all 81 of them. And if I do say so myself, performed at a high level.
You did. I was there, Dan, for some of them. You were
Thanks, Mitch.
you were the old Dan Baker. There was no change. So it was good to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Again, so honored to have you to be able to talk to you, an icon in the Philadelphia sports area. So thank you for taking the time for doing this. I really, really, really appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
So Dan, for people who don't know, so for the young kids who don't know where Dan Baker came from, can you give us a little background to how you got this gig and the gig before this with the Eagles, and how did it all start for you?
Sure. Well, Mitch, like a lot of sports-minded kids growing up in the Philadelphia area, when I was a young guy, I envisioned myself as a professional athlete. And, a Phillies player, an Eagles player, a Warriors player. When I grew up in the 50s, we had the Philadelphia Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have the Flyers yet at that time. We did have the Philadelphia Ramblers of the Eastern Hockey League that played at the arena at 46th and Market Street. That was the same block that housed the Dick Clark's bandstand.
Oh, really? Yeah.
On TV. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where the WFIL studios used to be.
Okay.
And in any case, I was a pretty good athlete. I was born in Philadelphia, lived in the Southwest for the first 7.5 years of my life. And then my mom and dad decided to move to New Jersey. We lived in a big old corner row house at 5017 Springfield Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And this big old corner row house was divided into 4 apartments. We lived in one of them. So with my brother and sister and another sister on the way, it just wasn't big enough to accommodate us. And so my parents moved to Mount Ephraim, New Jersey, in June of 1954. And it was there that I started playing, Little League baseball, and eventually Camden County baseball, Garden State baseball, a lot of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Played a little baseball in high school, freshman and JV baseball, and nothing to really distinguish myself. But I knew the game pretty good, and I was a pretty good player. The high school that I went to is Audubon. Audubon was colonial power back then in baseball, football, and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went to Glassboro State College. Played 2 years of JV basketball there, student varsity. And again, another great learning experience. And my last 2 years at Glassboro State, now Rowan University, I didn't go out for the team. Realized that I was probably going to be probably not in the first 8 or so.
Yeah.
And, So anyway, I applied for it and got the job as a mail boy at the fledgling Channel 48 WKBS TV, located at 3201 South 26th Street. That's the street that's kind of on the way to the airport. There I met a lot of people like Stu Nahan, who was captain Philadelphia, and I would work for Stu. When he would do play-by-play for local football, like Penn and Villanova and Temple, I would do statistics for him. Keep track of the number of first downs and the number of passes that a quarterback threw, the number that he completed, the number of receptions, made by the receivers, who caught how many and for what distances, and things like that. I was always a big sports fan.
Right.
I used to keep scrapbooks. In fact, I'm sitting in my den at home right now, and I'm surrounded by a lot of books such as those and different memorabilia that I've been fortunate enough to collect over the years.
Right.
But I of course had long since realized by this time that I wasn't of the sufficient physical expertise to play professionally. But I was beginning to think more and more, what could I do?
Right.
I so enjoyed going to the Phillies games at the old Connie Mack Stadium and Philadelphia Warriors games at Convention Hall and even Camden Convention Hall. There was a Camden Convention Hall, Mitch, at one time, and the Warriors played a few games over there each year. Anyway, it was just so exciting to me. And of course, the Big 5 games at Palestra, and then the Eagles games at Franklin Field.
Right.
It was just all so exciting. All of the people, the outdoors, the green grass, the colorful uniforms. It was just so exciting. I thought, wow, this would be so wonderful to be a part of in some way.
Right.
And I thought, well, what skill might I possess that would enable? And I used to, hear, the late great Dave Zinkoff with the Philadelphia Warriors, and later the Philadelphia 76ers, and Matt Gucka Sr., who was my predecessor as the public address voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, who started with the Eagles, I believe, in 1953, and announced Eagles games through 1984. And then when Matt retired following the 84 season, I started in 1985 and did the public address for the Eagles for 29 years, from 1985 through 2014, up until 2014.
Right.
2013 was my last year. And that was a privilege to do that too. But yeah, I would hear Pete Byron, who was the PA guy at the Phillies, and think, wouldn't that be neat to do that? And I would try to imitate these different fellas.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and actually, I did a pretty good job. Not a Joe Conklin kind of a job. I mean, Joe is just a master. He can imitate everybody.
Amazing.
He's got them down to a T. But I could imitate a few of them, and one thing that I think I did perfect pretty well, and I really had down from a young age, owing to my parents, Mitch. I was always a good public speaker, and my parents insisted on pronouncing every syllable in a word.
And Dan,
making sure you spoke in grammatically correct English.
yeah, Dan,
Correct subject.
that's what you do. It is the way you announce the names at the ballpark. Yes, it is. You know, when you did Chase Utley, I mean, it was really, you know, Ryan. You did your Ryan. You know, Hernandez. You focus on each syllable, which is what you're saying, right?
And that's what I've tried to do, and I think I've always been pretty good at that. But also, I try to do my homework, not just try. I mean, I do my homework. You know, like I'll go over the rosters. I get to the ballpark a couple of hours before the game starts, and usually there's a script prepared by the Phillies entertainment department. For many, many years, Chris Long, now Teresa Harris. Of course, our supervisor at Fanavision is Mark DiNardo, who does such a great job. And I work with a lot of terrific people up in the scoreboard room, also known as Fanavision.
Right.
But I think they would all tell you, and anybody who would listen, that I'm just as enthusiastic about announcing the games now as I was when I started 50 years ago in 1972 at the Vet. That was the second year that the Phillies played at Veterans Stadium.
Right.
And but I come in and I'll go over, you know, the rosters for, you know, the Phillies and the visiting team, and make sure I can pronounce all of the names. If not, you know, I'll look them up in the media guides, or go over to the press box and ask one of the visiting broadcasters or visiting public relations people.
Yep.
Sometimes I've even gone down on the field and asked the players themselves, or the manager or the coaches, you know, to make sure that I've got the correct pronunciation. That's to me, Mitch, one of the cardinal rules of a good public address announcer. You have to know how to say the person's name correctly.
Can I tell you a quick? Can I tell you a quick story about tonight? Right after you,
please.
I have Peter Golenbach, amazing author, right? 45 books he's written, and I thought it was Golenbach, but I have to make sure. So if Peter's listening, he's going to hear this story now. Then I had a little birdie friend. I emailed. I said, just making sure. How do you pronounce Peter's name? I emailed Peter, and he said, "It's up to you, Mitch." I was like, "Oh my God, if I get it wrong, he's probably going to just blip out and say goodbye right on the air." So, so I have to. Yes, even doing this, I make sure that I say it right, because otherwise, it's embarrassing for the person and me and you, or you, right?
Well, it sounds like you're on the right track. Trying to make sure, you know, out of respect.
Yes.
For your guests, you know, that you have the correct pronunciation of their names. And, you know, Mitch, I do this not only with the players and the managers and the coaches and other dignitaries, but, you know, sponsors who are down the field.
Right.
As you know, the Phillies probably have one of the most extensive pregame programs
Mhm.
of all the teams with first balls and bands and music and
Yep.
presentations, and so there's a lot of new names down there and people to be recognized. And so if I'm not familiar with those names, I will ask, to make sure that I'm pronouncing those names correctly also.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to do it. That's what a professional does. So what's been the most exciting game that you've been at? I mean, was it 80? Was it 08?
Well, you have correctly identified the top two.
Yes, absolutely.
Both, the only two World Series championships in Phillies history, both won in Philadelphia, 1980 at Veterans Stadium, 2008 at Citizens Bank Park. Wow, what an exciting time to be there, and how fortunate for those of us who were. Other events that were extra special, announcing 3 Eagles NFC championship games.
Right. Okay.
2002, 2003, 2004. They were pretty special. Done a number of Big Five City Series basketball games. This is like radio play-by-play.
Right.
At the Palestra. They were pretty exciting. Those are the ones. Ever since the Army-Navy game moved to Lincoln Financial Field, I have announced it as an employee of the city. They hired me for that.
Yeah.
And I really have enjoyed that. And in that capacity, I've had a chance to introduce a couple of presidents.
Right. Yeah.
I also had a chance to the first president of the United States that I ever had the privilege to announce was President Gerald R. Ford at the 1976 Major League Baseball All-Star Game at Veterans Stadium. So, that's a real honor. And of course, along the way, I've announced, a number of United States senators, governors, mayors, and I think I may have done one vice president.
Okay.
I certainly have met Vice President Biden when he was now president, but then vice president.
Right.
And I think he did not want to be introduced at one of the World Series games at the 2009 World Series when the Phillies went back-to-back 2008 and 2009, beating the Rays for the World Series championship in 2008 and losing to the Yankees in 2009. But, that's a privilege. And I'm very patriotic, so I've always enjoyed, asking our wonderful audiences, to stand and honor America for the playing of the national anthem. And I've introduced a number of high-profile singers, who've performed that.
Yeah.
So there's just, every game is just so much fun being there. I've done probably around 4,000 games, and 81 home games a year, and since 1972, I have missed, apart from 2020, where we had the abbreviated season of, I think, 60 games total, 30 home and 30 away. Now, I missed those 30 games because of multiple surgeries. However, apart from that season, the other 49 years, I've missed, I would say, a total of 29 games. uh, 14 of those coming in one year, 2019,
Right.
when my health issues began,
Okay.
and had a couple of surgeries, and then it culminated in a much larger surgery in 2020. But apart from that, from 72 through 2018, I missed a total of 14 games out of all those games.
Yeah.
And
You know,
that was due to my father's passing, my father-in-law's passing, my children, Darren and Courtney, graduating from high school and college,
mhm.
and David Montgomery and Bo Dallas permitted me to miss a couple of games to do the radio play-by-play for Temple football and Penn football,
Mhm.
which I did Temple football play-by-play, Mitch, from 77 through 83, and Penn football from 86 through 88. And I did the Army football highlights on cable for 3 years, 83 to 85, kind of concurrently with some of my Temple and Penn work.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you've been a stalwart, an icon, if you will, in the area. I know that, I was thinking about when you coming on, especially as a baseball fan, because baseball runs all summer. You know, we as fans feel like whether you're watching on television and you got your announcers or the radio or the announcer at the ballpark, that is a familiar voice that never goes away. And, I don't know that you probably know it, and like you say, you love going to the ballpark. Part of what we like is hearing that comforting voice as the announcer or announcers, whether PA or a play or whatever, radio or TV, because it makes us feel it makes us feel comfortable. It's something that we love, and you, as the voice of the Phillies, come with it, right? Fransky and Anderson, LA, come with it. It's just one of those things that you feel comfortable with. I grew up with the Mets and Lindsey Nelson, Ralph Kiner, and Bob Murphy, and I
Yes.
still love those voices. They're gone, but I can distinctly remember those guys. And then somebody you obviously know, when I would go to Yankee games, Bob Shepard.
Yeah, Bob Shepard,
Yeah.
the great voice of
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium. Bob is one of only two Major League Baseball public address announcers, Mitch with more seniority than me. Bob announced brilliantly at Yankee Stadium beginning in 1951
Right.
through 2007. And he retired following that season at the age of 97.
Yeah, there you go.
So
You got some
so
more
I'm still
time,
a
Dan.
young kid at 75. And of course, Bob just did such a great job. And I went up to observe him a couple of times early in my career to try to learn from him.
Uh-huh.
And the only other announcer who has performed for more years than Bob Shepard as a Major League Baseball PA announcer is Pat Piper of the Chicago Cubs, who was also terrific. He announced at Wrigley Field from the time it opened in 1916 and through, I want to say, 1974.
Okay.
A total of 59 years.
Wow.
So Pat at 59 years, Bob at 57, and this will be my 50th officially coming up.
Right.
Last year would have been my 50th had I not missed,
Right.
the entire 2020 regular season.
Right. Now it's interesting that when you think of, and again, I don't know who the Mets PA announcer was when I was watching them, Houston, but when I lived in Houston. But again, Bob Shepard was just so unique, and you have your own uniqueness too. You're not flamboyant, right? You just say it like it is, and where you can emphasize, like Reese Huskin. But I think what you do best is the enunciation, and I think that's what people like. You know, Mike
Well,
Cal,
thank you.
yeah, Michael Franco. It's just I'm picking names that obviously they don't. Michael doesn't play anymore with the Phillies. Alec Bohm. I mean, you just make it so you want to hear what the name is.
Well, thank you. I think you kind of get a sense. You know, in God's wisdom, Mitch, I think each of us is gifted with a certain skill set. Some of us, unfortunately, may never discover what their best skill is. Maybe they're forced by circumstances to, do something that, to support a family, and,
Mhm.
and they really maybe can't be as creative as they'd like to. Some people, of course, have wonderful voices. Other people, are great musicians or singers or artists or professors or doctors or dentists or lawyers. There's so many things in which one can excel. And the trick is finding the one,
Right. Mhm.
that you can do best. And then it's just so important to love what you're doing.
Well, that's true. Yes, absolutely.
I couldn't imagine doing something that was a chore that you dreaded going to work and you didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Gosh, for me, every time I get to the ballpark, now I go up the steps, or now I go up the elevator. I used to always walk up the steps for exercise. Now I walk down the steps for exercise after the game, but I take the elevator up to the fourth level. But just seeing everybody there, seeing the green grass,
Right.
When you see the ball players, the familiar faces in the press box, my goodness, it just makes me so happy to be there, and I enjoy it so much. And I hope that comes across
Oh, it
in my
does.
announcing style, how much I enjoy it and how much I want to try to share this,
Mhm.
with our live audience. And, hey, you're in the right place. Have a good time, and win, lose, or draw, this is baseball.
Yep. Absolutely. So I told people, I tweeted out that you're going to be coming on, and several people said you need to be on the Wall of Fame. So there's a fan group out there, Dan, with all that you've done. Then let's hope, the Phillies, and they know you and your worth and what you've done, and let's hope in the next few years, when if you retire. I mean, hey, you may not even retire for a while, but when you do, that Wall of Fame has your name on it with a flag.
Well, it's kind of you to say. There's a lot of highly qualified people, like our 2008 team is going to be eligible for that soon, and I don't think they can put too many people in any one year. To tell you the truth, it's just an honor for me to be at the ballpark. If some kind of recognition like that were to come along, of course, I'd be very grateful, but it is nothing that I expect or anticipate. And just having had the opportunity, the good fortune, to announce the games all these years is a recognition enough for me, and it's provided so much enjoyment. I met my wife there. Both of my children work there part-time. It's the Phillies have been so good to me. they've given me way above and beyond anything that I could ever have hoped for or expected. So they've given me plenty.
Well, that's good. And you've given us too, again, just by the comfort of knowing that you're there and announcing it, it's a terrific thing. I've got 1 minute. Dick Allen this weekend
Yes.
being voted on deserves to be in the
Oh,
Hall of
yeah.
Fame, right?
Oh, I hope he makes it.
I know.
So much wanting to make it. I was a big Dick Allen fan growing up, and of course I'll never forget when he came to the Phillies for the first time at the end of the '63 season in September, and then of course he was Rookie of the Year in '64. And when you talk about long home runs,
Oh my gosh, yes.
the way a ball would jump off somebody's bat, there's few people that I've ever seen hit the ball like Dick Allen. And among the Phillies, I was having announced for the last 50 years, I'd say the guys that hit the longest home runs were Dick Allen,
Mm-hmm.
Greg Luzinski,
Yep.
Jim Thome,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Ryan Howard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
They would have been in terms of the longest home runs.
Yes.
Of course, Mike Schmidt, the greatest Philly of them all, had the most home runs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, Dan, I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate, again, you taking time. Oh, one more thing. Can you do this for my daughter? She's my social media manager. She's does a great job. Could you announce her name?
What is her first name?
Kelsey. Now, have her.
Kelsey?
You can have her play left field and bat sixth.
Now, batting for the Phillies, left fielder Kelsey Bernstein.
There you go, folks. Kelsey, I hope you heard that. That is an honor. We need to keep this tape, keep this video, because I just got Dan, I just got the chills when you did that.
Oh, thanks, Mitch.
Dan,
Well, listen, best of luck to you.
thank
and
you
the
so much.
Burn.
And I'm going to try and get to Philly. I'm in North Carolina. I moved down here. We're going to try and get to a game or two or three with my daughter, Kelsey. I would love to meet you. Maybe we can set something up if I do come.
I'd love to meet you, Mitch.
That would be
I
great.
hope you make it up. And please let me know when you come.
That would be awesome, Dan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You're an icon. We appreciate you. Stay healthy, and we'll see what happens. We'll see you in 2022. Have a great rest of the year, and Happy New Year, and Merry Christmas and everything to you and the family.
Thanks, Mitch. Thank you for your kind words, and happy holidays.
Thank you so much. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was great. The great Dan Baker, PA announcer, not only for the Phillies but the Eagles, and he did play-by-play for local colleges in Philadelphia. So how awesome was that? So waiting for Peter Golenbach to come on. Peter is 10-time New York Times bestselling author. New York Times bestselling author. He wrote this book, like I said earlier, back in 1986, I believe. Let's see. It's 1986. He wrote The Bronx Zoo about the Yankees back in the day, and he's got a new book that came out just today called Valentine's Way: My Adventurous Life. Talking. You'll read about Bobby Valentine, former New York Mets manager, player. So Peter will be on hopefully in just a second. We gave him that link. I want to give you some information before Peter comes on. Following me on this radio network, Sports Talk Radio Network, we have Captain Lou. He is back with the extravaganza. So Captain Lou tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. He has, he's going to recap the game. Michigan, Ohio State. and the college football playoffs. At 8:30, he's got Chris Lowe's Liberty talking about ACHA Women's Division I hockey. Paul Shivery talking Major League Baseball and all of the free agent signings that have gone on. And he's got Basels 28 talking NFL and the 49ers. So he will be on just after I finish up at 8 o'clock. And looking forward to talking with Peter about Bobby Valentine. If you remember, I mean, for me, I remember Bobby getting thrown out of a game and coming back into the dugout with a disguise, though everybody pretty much knew it was him. So we're going to talk about the unique personality that is Bobby Valentine. I'm going to ask him, why? What made you want to talk to Bobby and do a book with him? What did he learn about him that he already didn't know? And, what was another question, what was Bobby's biggest impact on baseball? So hoping Peter can come on in just a few seconds. I hope he's not having trouble with the link. I'm going to get to him right now. Did he email me? Did he message me? No. All right. So hopefully he can get on with that link I sent, and we'll be talking with Peter Golenbach in just a few minutes. While we wait, I will update some scores for you as I do. Well, let me go back into the scores. Let me talk about the rest of I was going through the free agent signings this week. The Rangers, Texas Rangers, picking up Marcus Semien and John Gray. Shortstop, 7-year, $175 million. I don't think the Phillies wanted to spend that much money on a shortstop. Don't know who the shortstop's going to be at this point for the Phillies. Kevin Gausman, the amazing effort he put in this year with the Giants, is gone to the American League. Again, American League, 5-year deal with the Blue Jays. Byron Buxton, oft injured Byron Buxton, was wanting to get out of Minnesota at the end of the year. They re-signed him. 7 years, $100 million. The Tampa Bay Rays, 2-time Cy Young winner. This is what the Phillies were in on Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. They were in on him, from what I heard. 1 year, $8 million. Now, why $8 million is not a lot for a pitcher that's not great, but he's decent. Marlins added Avisail Garcia, and they're working on a Sandy Alcantara extension. Okay, November 27th, Hector Neris buy from the Phillies to Houston. Again, American League. Mariners, American League. Trade for Adam Frazier and the Padres, National League West, Raymond Kerr and Corey Rozier. I don't know who that is. The Mets. We know about Max Scherzer. They got Starling Marte, like I said, and Eduardo Escobar. Marte, 4 years, $78 million. Not a bad deal. And I don't know, infielder Eduardo, $20 million, 2 years, $10 million a year. That may be overspending on him. Red Sox added Michael Wacha. I think Michael has seen better days. And of course, one of the first ones was that he wasn't going anywhere. Wander Franco from the Rays, 12-year contract, a la Bryce Harper, $185 million. Whew, it's a lot of money to spend. Angels picked up Aaron Loup, formerly of the Mets. Performed well last year with the Mets as a lefty out of the bullpen. Phillies always seem to hit him. It was always kind of fun to watch Aaron Loup come in. But, he had a good year last year besides with the Phillies. 2 years, $17 million. Where are the Phillies? Giants keep Andy DeSclafani. The Brewers add Pedro Severino. Astros bringing back Verlander. Giants retain Brandon Belt. I mean, where are the Phillies? Remains to be seen. All right, we're waiting for Peter. Haven't gotten Peter yet to come on to email me if he is having some issues, or message me on Facebook where we have been talking. So I am going to message him right now to see if we're having some issues with the link. Let's see. Where is he? I'm going to let him know we are ready for him. Okay, we're ready for you, Peter. All right. Ready for you. Come on. I'm hoping that we had a problem with another interview having an issue with the link. Hopefully, he's not having that issue. I will let you know that I'm looking at getting former manager and longtime baseball guy John McLaren coming on in the near future. We are going to try to get some those versed in the Negro Leagues. If Dick Allen gets in and others from the Negro Leagues get in, John Donaldson, there's a big push for John Donaldson to get in. We're hoping to get someone who was well versed, maybe Phil Dixon, to come on and talk about their efforts and the talent that they showed when they played baseball in the Negro Leagues, and Dick Allen obviously with the Phillies. So we'll get some folks talking about that. I've got I'm looking at next week. Scott Reese wrote a book about broadcasters. Where were they when? Interesting book. He goes back and talks to about 15 or 16 folks that are in the broadcasting industry and talks to them about where they got their start and how what they did and how they got there. So more information about that coming up. On the 14th, Patrick Gordon's going to come on. He's a Phillies guy, and we're going to talk about the Phillies and the Hall of Fame vote. And then that is the last show of this year, December 14th. We'll pick it back up again on January the 4th. So, again, next week, we have Scott Reese coming on, along with, hopefully, on the 14th, we have Gabrielle Starr coming on, talking about Phillies and Red Sox in the offseason of baseball that we are currently involved with. All right, so I'm hoping, again, Peter, where are you? If he gets on, we're going to be talking only for a few minutes, which is unfortunate because I got to give it up to Captain Lou coming up at 8:00. So let me get some updates here as we go to scores of games in progress. Give you a little update here. Knicks and Brooklyn just starting in the first period. New York up 14-10. Men's basketball, UConn is up 29-24 with 3:32 in the half. First half, Syracuse is up 38-27 over Indiana. Minnesota leading Pitt by a point with these low scoring. Minnesota 22, Pitt 21, and 31 seconds left to go in the half. Not a lot of scoring going on here, folks. In the college men's basketball. Duke plays tonight at Ohio State, the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Women scored halftime. Alabama 43, Memphis 18. That's a blowout. NHL, the Rangers are doing quite well. Don't follow them much these days because I can't watch them. Islanders and the Flyers. I think the Flyers are glad that the game isn't being played because they're sucking it up right now. Islanders had to get postponed, and Flyers had to get postponed due to COVID issues. So they're not playing, and not much going on in hockey right now in terms of, games tonight. Metropolitan Division, the Rangers are 13-4, 29 points. Hurricanes are 15-4. Capitals are 14-3. That's the Metropolitan Division. Toronto leads the Atlantic Division by 2 points over the Panthers. Minnesota, St. Louis Winnipeg, Colorado, Nashville, and Dallas are 7 points apart in the Western Conference Central Division. And in the Pacific Division, Calgary 31 points, Edmonton 30, Anaheim 25. So that's a quick update on these current sports going on right now. I'm not going to bring up soccer because I'm not really interested in soccer, though I know many of you are. Let me see if I know some of these kids are playing. UConn, Jalen Gaffney, Westtown graduate. Did he start? No, he's not starting. He hasn't been starting all year. Let's see. He's 1 for 1 and a 3-pointer. So he's got 3 points. Good for you, Jalen. And then FSU, Jalen Worley. Again, FSU, Jalen Worley, Westtown graduate. Let's see if he's starting. He is. He's 2 for 3 with just 5 minutes gone in the first quarter, in the first half. 4 points. So Jalen's making his mark also. So just wanted to let you know we had scheduled Peter Golenbach to be here tonight to talk about his new book that came out, Valentine's Way, about Bobby Valentine. I'm not sure what's happened. I sent Peter the link, and he hasn't sent me an email about not being able to get on. So I just don't think it's going to happen at this point, folks. Unfortunately, I'll have to reach out to Peter and find out what happened, and maybe we'll get him on for next week. We'll see what we can do. But at this stage of the game, 7:47, and I got to get out of here a little before 8 o'clock, so it really wouldn't be worth it. If he comes on all of a sudden, we'll get him for 5 minutes, 6, 7 minutes, whatever, and then we'll try and get him scheduled. And we're going to try and do the same for Kurt Smith. Kurt Smith was supposed to be on a couple weeks ago. Couldn't get on the link for some reason. So it's a possibility that's what the issue is. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I can continue to go on a rant about the Eagles, and we can. I mean, let's, I haven't talked much about them, but, you thought that Coach Sirianni had it figured out to a degree in terms of the play calling on Saturday. Lowly New York Giants. And they came out and throwing the ball again. And it just didn't make any sense. And then, the defense played okay. And again, this is the New York Giants. They're not a top level team at this stage of the game. So you really can't blame the defense. You can blame the offense for most of this, pretty much all of this, especially Nate Herbig, who came in for Jason Kelce, who got hurt. And 2 horrendous holding calls. It was just really, 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 really bad. And there's no excuse for it. And then, again, you can't blame it just on him. But the offense, the entire game, Jalen Hurts was not good. Made some really stupid throws. He needs to make sure that he makes those decisions, makes better decisions, obviously. Not one pass. I didn't see one pass to Dallas Goedert. Devonta Smith at the end of the game was wide open. You could see it on some of the film that's going around on Twitter and on Facebook. He was wide open. He's not giving second looks. I don't see Jalen Hurts looking at one receiver and that's it. And he's got to know you can't do that. He's more comfortable in the pocket right now than he ever was. But you cannot look at the receiver and say, okay, I'm throwing it your way. And the defensive guy's picking it up. And if it's underthrown, they're going to fight like heck to get the ball and intercept the ball. And it's just not sound football fundamentals from this quarterback. Again, he's young. It's a growing stage. But again, you go back to the coach. Did he set him up to be successful? To me it is. As a coach, you every week, you look at who you're playing, you look and see who, in fact, where you can take advantage of the other team's weaknesses. Boston Scott, love him. He's a little powerhouse. We call him Sparky, right? Sparky gets to the hole quick. He's got speed. He needs to hold on to the ball. So with this team, it's not one thing. If it's not one thing, it's another. It's beginning of the year, all these penalties. They basically stopped that, except for obviously these two this past week. But they've done a better job of not committing as many penalties. Quarterback, coach are on the same wavelength for 3 games, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Yeah, you have Jordan Howard hurt. Miles Sanders played okay. Use them as you need it. But you also have to throw the damn ball to your receivers. Again, expecting him to catch the ball when he obviously shows he's got bricks for hands. He can't do it, especially at the end of the last play. They could have, in essence, won that game. Not if he caught the ball, but if they threw it to Devonta Smith, because there was space wide open, all that in that entire field, that entire defense. It was wide open with Devonta Smith's speed, his ability to evade tacklers. He could have gotten to the end zone. Jalen Reagor, if he caught the ball, he still wasn't going to get in the end zone. I don't believe. On that last play of the game. The play before, that he was in the end zone, that hit off his stupid face guard, that should have been a touchdown. So, I mean, you draft these guys to catch the ball, and you give them a shot, and they don't catch it. They need to sit the next game and figure out how to catch a ball from a quarterback. Not like this with your hands. It's like this. Not like this against your face mask, but figure out how you're going to get the ball in your hands to make a catch. Outrageous. Just outrageous. Outrageously poor is what it is. So they need to fix this. The Eagles need to fix this offense. Sirianni needs to run the damn ball. The offensive line has shown that they can be a good run-blocking offensive line. They'll do it. And mix in the pass. Why don't we throw a screen pass to Sparky? Where's the screen pass? They throw that stupid wide receiver screen that nobody's out there covering, blocking for, and it never gains any yardage. How about a regular screen pass? Force the defense in. Flip the ball over to Sparky, give him space with blockers. He's going to get 10 to 15 yards without a doubt. Haven't seen it. So it's unfortunate that this team is doing this to their fans. A lot of fans are angry, as they should be, though they forget that, again, it's a young team. They're still learning. The offensive players who are the ones in the positions, the running backs and the receivers, they're still learning, and the quarterback. So for many people, some people, it's a development year. If they make the playoffs, it's a bonus. Hey, if they had better coaching, if they had better receivers, if they were smart with who they were going to throw to, they would have beat the Giants. And who you got coming up next? Eagles fans, you know who you got coming up next. I know who you got coming up next for sure. But just to make sure, oh my gosh, we're already in December. December's tomorrow. My gosh. Yes, the Philadelphia Eagles once again go up the turnpike to play a New York team. This happens to be the team called the New York Jets, who are now 3-8. If this Eagles team loses to the Jets, now again, then you got to continue to, depending upon, again, how they lose. If they lose, you got to look at the coach. Coach is responsible for the play call, for the motivating of the players, getting them ready to go, prepping them to succeed. The New York Jets, 1 o'clock in New York. We will see where it's in New Jersey. We'll see what happens after last week's game. No. Oh my God. Philadelphia is a 6.5 point favorite. So we'll see what happens. If they had won, it'd probably been about 9 or 10, but we'll see. See what happens. And how about that Washington football team? How about that Cincinnati Bengals beating up on Pittsburgh? How about Indianapolis almost pulling it out against Tampa Bay? Miami beating up on the Panthers. New England's coming back. Oh, New England. Talking about Bill Belichick. Look at what he's doing right now with that team. 36-13 over Tennessee. Are you kidding me? Atlanta won. Not that big a deal. Denver beat the Chargers. The Jets, like I said, won. They beat the Houston Texans. Green Bay beat the Rams. The 49ers beat the Minnesota Vikings. And the Baltimore Ravens beat the Cleveland Browns. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm sorry. I apologize that Peter wasn't able to join us. I don't know what happened. I will reach out to him and see if we can get him on another time and day and time. But I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Happy Hanukkah to those who celebrate. And next week is December the 7th. And then the 14th, and it's Christmas time, New Year's time. All right, this is all for me. Thank you for being here, folks. I appreciate it. 12-Ounce Sports Network. This has been The Burn with Mitch on 12-Ounce Sports Network. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next week, 6:30 p.m. Watch Twitter for guests next Monday and Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.